What's up with it, world? It's your boy CBJ. You are tuned into the Champs podcast. I am your host, CBJ. My co-host over here is...
They call me Mr. Bean. Or Coach Rudy, one of the two.
Whatever. All right, guys. We are back with episode 4. If you guys want to know what happened to episode 4 prior to this, why we're a week late.
Kyle.
Exactly.
Bean Chick Kyle.
He stopped funding for the week. He said he needed a break. So
Yeah, and so this is the deal. We showed up.
yes.
Kyle said he's on his way. Kyle had all the equipment. Kyle's an asshole.
Don't be like Kyle. All right, guys. We have a few things we're going to go over, and then, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And if not, act like you do, damn it.
Yeah, and tell people to enjoy it. Even if you don't like it, have them listen to it so they can be as miserable as you were.
All right. Where are we starting today?
Miserable people. The
Missouri.
Los Angeles Rams.
The Rams, the Lambs.
So, yesterday, and this is going to hold true no matter what day you listen to this. Yesterday, the Rams played against the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
And the final score indicates that they got their butts whooped.
Yep.
Reality says that it was a close game until the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Halftime, it was tied at 10. After 3 quarters, it was 17-10.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end, the Rams tacked on a couple more touchdowns, made it a blowout. But I say that because I've heard a lot of national media talking about how this was such a blowout and it wasn't even close, when it was the exact opposite. It was close through 3 quarters. It was sloppy. Neither team looked good. Both of them had flaws. But there were some big differences in what ended up happening.
Right.
So when I say neither team looked good, there was a lot of turnovers. The Rams, they had 2 fumbles, but they didn't lose them. But they did have 3 interceptions.
Okay.
Matt Stafford, like you were telling me off air, you felt was underthrowing balls, and he was just sloppy.
Right.
And then when you looked at Buffalo had 2 fumbles that they lost.
Right.
And Josh Allen threw 2 picks.
Yep.
So when you look at those basic stats, you can tell it wasn't the cleanest game. Now, why did I tell you that this was probably so?
That that it happened like this?
Yeah.
Your analyst was more along the lines that give me a second to think about it. You were saying that it was more about you believe that Stafford was more
Preseason.
Oh yeah, the preseason. I was thinking preseason. You said that we didn't have enough preseason games. None of the starters got to play in the preseason games.
Yeah, so this year they chopped it down to 3 preseason games versus what it used to be 4.
But they did that last season too, didn't they?
Yeah.
But again, none of the starters started. So
yeah, the big thing is this year most teams said, you know what, we're not playing any of our offensive players, so we're just gonna roll with the backups throughout the whole thing. Right. Whereas before, whenever they used to get the 4 games,
reps,
then they would get reps in 2-3 of the games, and that would be something. It still leaves them sloppy in the first game.
Yeah.
But they were really sloppy yesterday.
I think, from my recollection, at least for some teams, I think the way they used to do it was like your first game, it was probably going to be all rookies that game.
Yeah, all backups.
Then the second game, okay, we're going to let our starters get a quarter in there.
It was a series.
Yeah.
A series, maybe 2.
Yeah, and by the end of it, you're splitting half and half between the...
Well, the third game would be at very least a quarter, going into the second quarter, close to half. And then the fourth game, some of them would play a couple plays, but they were mainly sitting.
Right.
So that's
And I
how
remember
it
I
used
used
to
to
go.
get mad at that because like when like oh shit like they're on the cusp of coming back and then like they set the fucking starters out or the starters they got ready to score and like oh well quarter's over, let's go ahead and let the backups come in, and then they fuck it up, and then it would piss me off. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they couldn't at least finish the drive.
But so I think that part of the natural slowness of getting the rhythm
Yeah.
factored into this game
Okay.
for both teams. That's why they were both so sloppy offensively. Now, when we look at all right, what was the big difference in this game?
Um.
Sacks.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot more sacks on one side than the other.
Yeah, you pointed out how disheveled Matt Stafford was,
Yeah.
and so much of that was he was sacked 7 times for 49 yards lost.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I didn't realize how many yards he lost. I just know they were getting to him.
And the Rams, they were only sacked twice for -5 yards.
You're getting your teams confused. You're saying the Rams.
I mean, the Rams only sacked the Bills 2 times,
right,
for a loss of 5 yards.
Right.
That's what I meant to say. So when you look at those factors, you can see a little bit why one team was able to come out of it.
Right.
And then you also have to factor in the Bills rushed for 121 yards on 25 carries, and the Rams only got 52 yards off of 18 carries. So it wasn't a lack of trying.
Right.
It was just a lack of success.
Yeah.
And then the last factor, Buffalo was 9 of 10 on third downs. Rams were 6 of 13. 6 of 13 ain't bad, but it ain't 9 of 10.
Right. When one team outdoes the other, it's how it works.
Yeah. So when you factor those things in, that's what the difference was. So I wanted to lay all this out because some people are going to be like, well, it's clearly that the Buffalo Bills are a real Super Bowl champ. And they're the real deal. It's look, all of you who are all over them thinking that, is it possible that they are the real deal? Yeah, but you can't tell off of week 1.
Everyone in week 1, Gary Owen talks about it. Like the thing before Cincinnati did as well as they did last year. He said the reason why he always liked opening games is because at that point everyone's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
there's nothing that tells you can't go to the Super Bowl at that point.
Exactly.
And even it's week 1, so the Rams could very well turn around in the next 2-3 weeks and just like start rolling and kill it.
Look, we got an extra game this year, just like we did last year.
Right.
So you're not going 16 games like you were. You got 17.
Right.
So you have a little bit more room to fail as far as to lose a game here or there.
Expanded the playoff runs.
Yeah, and then you got 7 teams that get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that one loss
Yeah.
isn't huge. And even if you got blown out like they did final score-wise, it was close through 3. It is what it is. Before everyone starts anointing Josh Allen as the MVP, do keep in mind he didn't hit 300 yards in the air. Yeah. Some people say, well, combined rushing and passing he did. Look, we ain't going to do that. Yeah, he had 56 yards rushing. He did. But when he's compared to the other quarterbacks, they're going to end up comparing him with the arm.
Right.
He had a good game. But throwing 2 picks does also hurt you.
Yeah. One thing about us when it comes to the Bills, we've never been sold on Josh Allen as being as great as everyone wanted to say he is. We do give him just due in the sense that, yes, he is a good quarterback. He does pull off wins.
Good quarterback. I would never be upset with him being the quarterback of my team.
Right.
Because I think he's good enough. He's a starter. He's a quality quarterback with a lot of upside.
You could definitely pick a worse starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's in the top third of the league.
Yeah.
In quarterbacks.
Yeah. And go back to episode, was it 2 that we went over quarterbacks? You can go back
something like that.
when we covered the quarterbacks in that, we were giving him his just due. You're not upset with having him in your stable as a player, as your starter. When you're looking at somebody like a Josh Allen, he's going to get you your wins. They're not always going to be pretty. They're not always going to be great, but he's going to stay competitive throughout it. Even if he does get hit a few times, he'll get a little bit shaken, but he usually keeps his composure pretty well. So
he's a very solid quarterback.
Yeah.
He's look, generally speaking, unless you're saying I could upgrade for Patrick Mahomes or possibly Aaron Rodgers, and even still, you wouldn't necessarily say Aaron Rodgers because of his age.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Buffalo isn't going to say too many quarterbacks that they would rather have than Josh Allen.
And for me, just the Bills as a whole, Von Miller, great upgrade for the team.
Huge.
But again, we're looking at age at that point. Like,
look, Von Miller was hurt last year before he went to the Rams.
Right. Now they're saying that he looks better and healthier than he has in previous years, and maybe he is.
It was the first game of the season. He should be better. I mean, you shouldn't be beat up.
And maybe he is. And maybe this is a second win because he just come off of another Super Bowl or whatever. But, one thing that we do know about Father Time is whenever it starts catching up with you, there's no way you can really stop it. You can try with all your might, but once it starts to slow you down, once you start to get banged up and bruised up easier, it's not a whole lot you can do.
And look, I'm a Von Miller fan, so I'm rooting for his success.
Right.
But and he got 2 sacks yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's definitely gonna help the team out.
One thing
I'm just like you, realize he's not the youngest in the world.
Right. And even I heard another analysis on Von Miller versus Sam Darnold. They're both getting up there in age. One's not necessarily greater than
Sam Darnold or Aaron Donald?
Aaron Darnold, sorry.
Donald.
Darnold. The Rams fucking defensive player. Anyways, yeah, they're both getting up in age. You're kind of washing one hand with the other as far as for like who's better, who's going to stay healthy and continue to produce the same numbers they once were. Look, last year, me and you had said that Donald was getting older. He was losing a half a step, which, again, a half a step to anyone else isn't necessarily a big deal whenever you're of his caliber. But we're another season in. He's already proven that he can get a Super Bowl. So that work ethic might change. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe he slows down a little bit more than what he did before.
Either way, Father Time is catching up with him.
Yep.
Doesn't mean he's still not dominant, because when you're as dominant as he was, then
you
can still afford to lose a step and still be better than most of the other guys out there.
Yeah, definitely.
We're just saying, we're comparing him to himself, though.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure if you've been a long-time listener from the Know-It-Alls to now the Champs, when we criticize any of these players, we're not criticizing them in a way of like down-talking any of them. We're speaking of them in the highest regards. It's just we're talking about their playing ability and where they're going. So if we're picking on one player for not performing well, it's just we're being honest about
our assessment of what happened or what's going on.
Yeah, everyone can't play 100% of the time. Like, you can play the best you can at that time, but someone's going to beat you here and there because it's the way sports go.
Yeah. So we wanted to start off with that game since that was what started off the NFL season this year.
Oh yeah, we've actually kicked off the NFL season. Like, this is always my favorite one, is when we're kicking off the season. So
yeah, and so we're gonna go ahead and pivot forward just a little bit and look at who we believe are going to be in the playoffs this year.
Okay.
So, for me, I went ahead and picked who I thought was going to be the champions of their divisions.
Okay.
So, I want to start off with the AFC.
All right.
My division champs this year, I figure, are still going to be Kansas City.
Yep.
Tennessee again.
Okay.
I got Cincy.
All right.
And then I have New England.
Okay.
Now, some people will be like, what the hell? How are you going to pick New England? Didn't you just see what Buffalo did?
Yeah.
Look, I'm going off of what I saw New England do last year, how strong they looked, how dominant they looked, the progression. They still got a head coach, even though he cheats. He's a good coach. I mean, I hate him, but he is what he is. He builds a program and makes it improve throughout the year.
Yeah.
I believe that their guy who was a rookie quarterback last year, Mac Jones, is going to take another step forward this year.
Right.
Because of the stable atmosphere that is built in New England.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see him taking a huge step back in his sophomore year.
Yeah.
I see him progressing. So, I got KC, Tennessee, Cincy, and New England.
Okay.
Of those teams, which ones do you have winning the division?
I don't remember which ones I told you earlier, but
Well, I can tell you who you said are in the playoffs, but you never told me who's winning the division.
Those are all in the same division? No, I didn't hear what you said.
Those are the division champs that I picked.
Oh, those are the
what
ones
the
that you
hell's
picked.
wrong with you?
That's why I said I'm trying to hear what you said. I don't. Fuck it. I can't. I'm not gonna sit here and go back and forth on that. One thing I just wanted to say about the Patriots, I think that their coach has something to prove still. I think he's still proving with Brady on what he's gonna do. As far as for that, I also think that they're gonna go. I think they'll be all right. I do say the Bills.
All right, let me keep your focus. You picked Kansas City and Denver to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Which one of those two wins the division?
Kansas City.
You also picked Buffalo and New England to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Which one of those two wins the division?
Buffalo.
You also picked Cincinnati and Baltimore to make the playoffs. Which one of those two wins the division?
Cincinnati.
Okay, so you agree with me on Kansas City and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I got New England winning the division. You got Buffalo.
Yeah.
We both have Tennessee winning their division over Indy and Houston and Jacksonville.
Right.
So, the difference is we both got Baltimore also in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and we both have Denver in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if Buffalo makes the playoffs. I have them battling it out with Miami.
Okay.
And you obviously just chose them to win the division.
Yeah.
So your three wild card teams: Denver, New England, and Baltimore.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead and tell me why you think Baltimore makes the playoffs.
Baltimore. I'm just going on a whim off of that. I like the quarterback.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I think that he's held it together pretty well. I think he's going to want to just try and bounce back. He had a few good seasons prior, so I think he's just going to try and keep it competitive.
To what you're saying right there, I have to make a comment to make an amendment to something that we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were talking about who the best quarterbacks were in the league, right? And we were classifying them.
Yeah.
I had Tyler Heineke is one of the top 32 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I bumped him out. He's in that other tier, the better backups or whatever, because I forgot Tyler Huntley. He's the backup quarterback of Baltimore. Started a few games for them last year.
I kind of remember. Yeah.
As I was watching him last year, I saw this fool is the real deal. He should be starting somewhere in the NFL.
Right.
I believe that even if Lamar Jackson were to sit out for his contract or get hurt, that Tyler Huntley can lead Baltimore to the playoffs. I think he's the real deal.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback yet, but I think that guy, he has potential to become a legitimate starter, get into that top third of quarterbacks that you and I were talking about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. Denver, obviously a big part of why we both think that they're going to be in the playoffs is Russell Wilson, coupled with that defense that they have.
Yeah, and then you have, like as we said previously, have a pretty easy schedule for the most part until they get into the later part of the season. So I think it's far enough into the season that it'll give them.
If they already got momentum.
Yeah, there's no reason for them not to make it to the.
Yeah. Now, for me, like I said, when I am hesitant to say Buffalo is definitively making the playoffs, it's so hard to make it, right?
Yeah.
Every year you have 5 to 6 teams fall out that were in the playoffs the year before.
Yeah.
So based on who we picked, we got the Raiders and the Steelers missing the playoffs.
Yes.
Now that's hard to say because the Steelers under their head coach never have a losing season.
Right.
At worst they're a 500 team.
Now here's my thing because I was just trying to remember where this quarterback went. Magic Mitch hasn't been Magic Mitch in a very long time, and I like the Steelers head coach. He's a good coach. He's had really good seasons with them. I'm just kind of out with Mitch Trubisky. I don't know that he's going to be able to pull off a winning season, even though he's got a good coach, has some decent weapons on his side. So we'll see. That's really my biggest question mark on them.
We can't say that there'll be 12 teams in the playoffs when there's only 7 slots.
Yeah.
And last year you had some notable teams missing it.
Yeah.
You had San Diego, who had a really good season for themselves, missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get that benefit of saying, "Oh, this is a great quarterback, so they're automatically in."
Yeah.
It don't work that way.
No, definitely not.
Or there's a great coach, so he's always going to be. It don't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, Belichick's had as many Super Bowl wins as he has with this team, and he didn't do very well.
Yeah, they win a decade without winning a Super Bowl at one point.
Yeah. Back to real quick before we get too far. You were talking about that other quarterback,
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah. When you still have Mitch starting for a team, and you have Joe Flacco, which I didn't even know he was still playing. They're starting. No knock to them, but their records haven't really shown to be the best. So there's room for him if Baltimore doesn't.
Well, the big thing is going to be opportunity. If he's stuck behind Lamar,
right,
then people eventually forget about him.
Yeah,
and if he gets time.
If he gets some game time here and there,
once his contract's over, he's going to be highly coveted.
Yeah.
All right, so Kansas City winning their division, that kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Mahomes and the crew, they're perennials.
Yeah.
Cincy last year proved their legitimacy with Burrow and their weapons, their great receivers.
Yeah.
Tennessee, they had the best record in the AFC.
Yeah.
Then they end up losing in the playoffs to Cincy, and you know what? It happens. Someone's got to lose.
Yeah, there's both of you guys are undefeated. You guys go up against each other. Someone's gonna lose that record.
So for me, I think that's why pushing the Raiders out and the Steelers out.
Yeah.
is probably the least shocking of the teams that made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
To push out, because I think somebody is going to be out. It just happens that way. Do you mind if we go to the NFC?
Sure.
Okay. So we both picked Green Bay to win the division.
Yeah.
We both picked Dallas to win the division.
Yeah.
We both picked Arizona to win their division.
Right.
Now, I don't know. Did you definitively pick Tampa Bay over New Orleans?
No, I said that they're going to kind of. Well, no, actually, I did. I said they were going to be, and I thought New Orleans was going to be the
Wild card?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, we both also got Tampa Bay winning the division.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm out on New Orleans as far as I don't think that they'll make the playoffs.
Okay.
They lost their head coach.
Okay.
Their number one receiver is still iffy.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara's, with as good
Aging.
as he is, he's injury prone too.
Yep.
When you factor those things in, you don't know what you're going to get from this team. And their quarterback is a quarterback who never is someone that you can depend on definitively. Jameis Winston is the epitome of you don't know what you're going to get from him. Because he can look awesome, but he can also look god-awful.
Yeah.
So, with New Orleans, I don't have them in the playoffs.
But
I
don't
definitely
they have
understand.
Jacoby Brissett as the backup?
Yeah. Is Brissett there as the backup, or I thought he went to...
I thought he was.
I don't know. I can't recall right now. But it wouldn't totally shock me, especially if Tom Brady gets hurt and Tampa Bay kind of flounders
Yeah.
for New Orleans to overtake it. But I only think you're going to get one team in the playoffs from that division. Whether it's Tampa Bay or New Orleans,
Dalton.
I only think that you're going to get one. We both got Detroit in the wild card.
Yeah.
And I got Washington and the Rams.
Okay.
I got the Rams making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I have the caveat that if Matt Stafford is hurt,
Yeah.
that could very well be the reason why they don't.
Okay.
And we know that he is hurt right now, entering the season, and it's just a matter of how hurt is he. So is it something that he's going to be able to play through and at least be 80% of what he normally is?
Yeah.
And if so, then they're fine.
Yeah.
But if not, that could be something that pushes them out. I don't have the 49ers in the playoffs, and that's because Trey Lance is their quarterback.
Right.
I don't know what I'm getting out of Trey.
Right.
He wasn't very good last year.
Yeah.
So I can't put them into the playoffs with him as their starting quarterback. Why do I have Washington over Philly?
Because I think they're the silent giant that no one's paying attention to.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think there's so much hype on Philly right now, and Philly didn't really show much last year.
I'm trying to understand what it is about Philly that makes everybody just like Philly. Like, I know they won a few years ago.
Keep in mind, last year before the season started,
Uh-huh.
there was quote-unquote experts picking the Giants to win the division.
Right.
There was quote-unquote experts picking Washington to win the division.
Yeah.
I think everyone is just so anti-Cowboys
Yeah.
that they're like, oh, this team will be. This team's got to be. And the reality is none of these teams have consistently shown themselves to be any better than the others.
I will consistently tell you that one team that I don't like or I didn't like as a Cowboys fan was for the
Philly.
No, it was for Washington.
Oh.
I always thought that Washington always just played harder, like whenever it came to the games.
Oh, yeah. You always said you hated whenever we faced them.
Yeah.
Even when we went through that stretch of beating them, like I think 14 out of 15 times or whatever, it wasn't necessarily easy. You might get one easy game that season. The next one was a nail biter.
I just remembered Carson Wentz did go there. So one, I think it's fucking hilarious that he wound up back in the same division that he was.
And that's actually part of why I picked him.
Yeah.
I think
he's familiar with his opponents already because he's played there so many years. So, for me, Washington, they've done. I think they've had a decent defense, right? Last year they was pretty decent as far as defense.
They were just so injury
the
riddled
quarterbacks
last
just
year.
couldn't keep healthy for the last couple of years, and I think not that Carson Wentz is the most durable. But I think that they've probably started.
His is more mental issues than physical.
Yeah, I think they've made enough adjustments for them to not be so concerned about that being a problem this season. At least I would hope that they've addressed that situation. But go on.
Yeah, so I got Washington in the playoffs. I still got the Rams. I got Detroit. I think Detroit really showed that they were on the uptick last year, and I believe that they're going to be a force. Now, when we look at what you got, go ahead and talk to me about why you do think the Niners are going to be up.
So for me, the Niners was more about, you know, I'm big on Debo Samuels. You got Kittle there, so they got some good offensive threats to be concerned with. But I know the question mark is the quarterback, Trey Lance. I don't know much about him, but I do know that I feel like if he's not doing well, that it's easy just to swap him out and move forward with what's worked in the past.
Well, I'll say this: Trey Lance is the equivalent of our producer.
So
Yes.
he's amazing.
Stop sucking up to him. Our producer, Mr. Matthews, is Trey Lance of the production industry. Look, I'm just not sold on Lance. Last year is his rookie year and he didn't get to play.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean that he sucks. The times he was in there, he was very limited.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that shows me he is anything. So until I start seeing him
Yeah.
do something positive, I have no faith in him.
So-
you don't believe in rookies.
I
and
don't.
if you didn't play the first year, then you're essentially still a rookie. So how you can pick a rookie to carry a team who went to the Super Bowl last year back to the Super Bowl means that you must think that the rest of the team was so great
Yeah.
that they should easily find themselves back there. And that said, they barely got into the playoffs last year. How are you finding a rookie is going to take them back? You didn't think it through, huh?
No, I definitely
See,
didn't.
I knew it.
I definitely didn't look at it in the sense that it was going to be an easily thing. Again, I do have faith in the weapons that he has around him more so than him. So
You love Debo.
yes,
You love Debo, and I think that is why
yes.
you are picking him.
But one thing I didn't realize that Debo said coming into the season is that he doesn't want a repeat of last season in the sense that he was doing as much as he did. So I think he wants to stick to his role as a receiver and not
I
so
think
much
he
of the
knows he
running back.
can't sustain it.
Yeah. But I mean, I like Kittle. Like Kittle's solid. And then even beyond that, they got a new rookie running back.
You hate rookies.
But this new rookie running back is supposed to be something to be concerned with. So,
But he's a rookie.
this is true. Okay. But I'm not going to back down on this.
You're taking San Fran
Yes.
because you love Debo and you're trying to justify it with a lot of other players who you would normally say, yeah, they ain't going because of that.
Okay.
At least you ain't denying it. So
Again,
I
you
know
can still swap Jimmy G back in.
you can. But if you dig yourself a hole, Jimmy G ain't gonna dig you out of it.
No. But I don't think if Trey Lance doesn't come out, maybe they give him 2 or 3 games where if
They're
he's
gonna
just,
give him 5 or 6 games if they say that he's a starter.
well, even if you give him 5 games, that's
All right,
still
let's
enough
say he
to,
goes 1-5.
Okay.
You trust Jimmy G's good enough to get you.
We just need a wild card, baby. We don't need the actual going.
You trust he's good enough to get you 7-2 the rest of the way if a team's
Yes.
already so defeated.
Yes.
What you need to remember? Usually, the Super Bowl loser bottoms out and doesn't repeat to the playoffs the next year.
Yeah.
And who lost Super Bowl last year?
That was Cincy, right?
Yeah. Who lost in the conference championship last year?
What about their head coach, though?
What about him?
I mean,
That was an awful week. What about the head coach? I mean, I ain't got shit to say about him, but what about him? Come on, cuz.
I mean, you know what? You're right as far as for we always say one team is gonna fall dramatically. The thing is, I don't see Cincy being the team that's gonna drop. I think in this case,
because we both got Cincy back in there, right?
Yeah.
So if we both think Cincy at very least is going to be in the playoffs,
Yeah.
we got to look for somebody who's going to fall out. You know, the Raiders, Steelers, we got out.
yeah,
We both got the Eagles out.
yeah,
That means somebody else from the NFC is going to fall out who made the playoffs.
yeah, but
That's why I got the 49ers falling out.
and that's where I said that I think that the Rams are falling out.
They won the Super Bowl, though.
Yes.
How often do you see the Super Bowl winner completely bottoming out?
Listen, I hate the Rams.
I know you do.
And I'm always going to root for them not to go to the playoffs.
So you're totally just saying, look, I'm going to let my bias make my choices this preseason. Is that pretty much it?
As in certain
Think about
teams,
it. Think about it. 'Cause
Listen,
you're saying, I'm going to take
listen,
Debo, and the Rams are out.
Listen, what we're talking about right now, keep in mind, I've historically hated Cincy. Why? Because of the colors. The Browns, I've historically hated them and have always picked, like, I don't care who they're playing. I don't care how bad their record is. I've picked the other team because of that purpose only. So, in that idea, you think at this point that
Like,
I'm going to
there is no shame in my game. I am calling it like I see it.
Exactly.
All right, I just got to point out that stuff, though. All right, so that's what it is. We both got Green Bay. We both got Dallas. We both got Tampa. We both got Arizona. We're on the same page with who we think win the divisions.
Yeah.
We both got Detroit in the playoffs. You think the Niners are in and New Orleans are in. I think it's Washington and the Rams. We'll see what happens as far as that goes. Now, the Queen of England died. That do anything for you?
No, actually, I was a little bit upset on my way home that I seen the flags were half flown, and I'm like,
I was too.
I was like, why the fuck is this? And I had to double check because I thought it was only for presidents, and then I was like, why the fuck are we half staffing the flag?
We
And
literally
apparently the
escaped from their reign, and then we're sad when their king and queen get sick and die. And what
Yeah.
the hell is that?
Apparently, the president had ordered for the half staff flag.
He did. He
And-
did. I saw that.
But I didn't know that. I was on my way home from work, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? Are all those flags half flown? Like, when did we start doing this shit for another fucking... Yeah.
Country's leader. Yeah. It's stupid. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Fucking Kyle Matthews telling us to talk about it. It's a sports podcast, not fucking politics.
So when we look at what's going on with sports right now, Brittany Griner still locked up.
Yeah.
No change in that.
Oh, Serena.
We talked about her a couple weeks ago.
But she lost.
Yeah, she was still in it, and then
Yeah.
she lost
Yeah.
the second round or
They're
third round,
saying
something like that.
that it's believed that it'll probably be her. That was probably her last
Yeah.
play. Yeah, because she had announced that she was retiring at this point.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, we had been talking about how she had 23 open championships or whatever.
Right.
And apparently there was somebody, a woman who had 24 championships, and I don't remember her name. It was a very generic name.
Yeah.
She was criticizing Serena, saying, yeah, I have a lot of respect for her game. Apparently she never respected me or anything I did. But it was like, what? Where did this come from? But apparently whenever she played, she mainly played against amateurs because the women's tennis world wasn't necessarily professional, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it was a different time. That woman's 80. So, you know, this was 40 years before Serena ever picked up a tennis racket or whatever have you, you know?
Right.
So when you look at it, it's not necessarily the same. It's like when the first basketball season professional basketball just first started, right?
Right.
Or the first professional baseball game just started. You can't look at those teams the same way as what you look at
Yeah.
once the league was solidified and,
Right.
and we're actually going to stay.
Right.
You know, you can't look at those records and say that's the same thing. It's not even the same sport. I think that lady's just butthurt about the love that Serena's getting. Told you that Mad Dog is one of those racist idiots that was criticizing Serena and saying that she's not. But I will say this: I saw something where they were talking about the best athletes of all time.
Okay.
Okay, and they had her listed as one of the goats, and they were, they say the Mount Rushmore because they like pick top four,
Right.
and they had her as one of them. I think some people had Michael up there. They had her. They had Ali, and I forget who else. Either way it went, when I looked at that list of who they had,
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm looking at athlete,
Yeah.
I have to look at athlete. That doesn't necessarily mean the best player.
Right.
And sometimes it was. Sometimes it wasn't.
Right.
So I'm going to throw some names out and tell me if you would consider them some of the all-time great athletes, okay?
Okay.
I know we hadn't talked about this. I consider Mike Vick one of the best pure athletes I've ever seen.
Okay.
Randy Moss
Okay.
as one of the best pure athletes. He could jump. He could run.
Right.
He had great skills with his feet. And I'm not high on him as far as all-time greatest receiver. But as an athlete,
Yeah. Just for the skill level that he had.
then I look at Vince Carter, basketball, half man, half amazing.
Right.
And that's because not only was he good at basketball, but the heights that he could jump, I think that also takes it to a different level sports-wise.
Yeah.
I got Bo Jackson because he was
immediately
awesome in two sports.
Yeah.
Prime
Immediately
time
first.
because
Okay.
he was awesome in two sports.
Yeah.
And Jim Thorpe
Okay.
because he was awesome in every sport he played.
Okay.
So when I think of all-time great, Babe Ruth was the other one that they had.
Okay.
So when I think of all-time greats,
Yeah.
athletes, I think of these guys. And none of these guys would I necessarily say you're the best ever to play your sport.
Yeah.
I think you're amongst the best ever. But
Right.
if I'm just talking about pure athletes, these are the type of people that I
Pure
put.
athleticism is it's a defining caveat to have when you're talking about something like this. Because if you're talking some of the most maybe recognizable, then I could see the names that they were saying, because those are synonymous in their sport.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth,
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, and their names like exceed that that sport because
Those could be some of the greatest competitors.
Okay, I could see that.
I could see that.
But yeah, that's the caveat of like when you say athleticism, that you're putting them in a box to say why are you putting them in this this range.
And that's not to say those guys weren't really great athletes as well,
Right.
because we know what they could do.
Right.
But Mike Vick, Randy Moss, Prime Time,
Right.
those fellas that I mentioned, they were in a whole other league, man.
Yeah. And their competition was different. Like who they were competing against, the rules to the games were different. When you look at like someone like an Ali, I could see that. That was during the time where we had longer rounds than just 12 rounds or 10 round bouts. But his biggest fame is more of he was forced to quit playing or quit fighting, and then he came back and won his belt.
I think a big part of his was he was smarter than so many of his competitors.
Yeah.
Like he knew how to adjust to what they were doing.
I mean, he changed it. He changed boxing. Before him, it was very much stand there and get slugged out until someone falls. He was the one that started using angles and moving around the ring.
He used his athleticism,
Yeah.
but it was, like you said, angles, and
Yeah.
he had thought to it.
Yeah. And there's the psychological game. He definitely emphasized
Yes.
the psychological game and beating his opponents that a lot of people were not doing. That now it's very much of there's a lot to it. And as anything progresses, you have to learn, oh, it's no longer just about being a good athlete. Like, and boxing, there's a lot of great boxers that are boxing right now, but a lot of them are boring to watch because they don't play the psychological games. They just come in, they beat you, and then they keep it moving. And nobody watches the sport as much because there's not someone like a Tyson, like an Ali, like a Rory Jones, like a, that talk that shit, that gets you riled up and like, oh, he pissed off his opponent. I want to watch this.
With as much as I respect Michael Jordan and the greatness that he had,
Yeah.
I can even look at Grant Hill or Penny Hardaway and say they were better athletes than him. They may not have been better basketball players than him,
Yeah.
but athletes,
Yeah.
like they could do athletic things that Michael's body didn't necessarily allow him to do.
Yeah.
He was a better player than them. He was more competitive. He was more cutthroat.
Yeah.
He was a better champion. Like, you can go on and on about what he did better than them.
Right.
But athletically, it's a different story.
Yeah.
So semantics matter.
Yeah.
And whenever they talk about who the best athletes are, maybe Serena is one of the best athletes of all time. Maybe she is.
Yeah.
But when I'm hearing athlete, I'm thinking of those guys that I mentioned
I think
way before I get her involved.
So this is one of the things that we harp on every episode just about. Like, when you're talking about sports, we have to talk stats. We're not talking who I like more because of I just like their personality or they dress really nice or whatever. And I think, and this is a case of, well, what are you gauging these people on that puts them on this pedestal? If you're talking about I don't know how you say recognition. If you're talking about recognition, those names that they've listed, that makes sense because of whatever reason it is that it goes beyond their sport, but that doesn't equate to the athleticism. That doesn't equate to their wins or how they played. That's just literally like, oh, why does everyone know who Serena is? Because she had a sister that played, and it was a big deal that her and her sister went on to be champions, and that was a big part of the story. It was a big part of the story, again, as I said about Ali, whenever he was forced out because he didn't want to go into the draft, things of that nature. That was what made him so big. Maybe had he not actually been forced out and have to come back, maybe he would have lost before that. Maybe he would have had a more career that we wouldn't have talked about him so greatly about. So those are the reasons, like, that's why, it happens that way whenever you're talking about them being recognized.
Let me piss some people off. Quote unquote professional wrestling.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan,
Yep.
one of the biggest names in professional wrestling history, right?
Yep.
Was he a better athlete than Rey Mysterio Jr.?
No way.
Hell no. Was he a better wrestler, more recognizable, more famous,
Right.
champion, all that type of stuff? Yes.
Yeah.
But he was not the athlete that Rey Mysterio Jr., who was a low-level, quote-unquote superstar.
He still wrestles and still recognizable.
Is he?
Yeah.
But either way,
No. But yeah, what's funny is I see him still wrestling now, and I was like, I remember whenever he was just like one of the many guys that wrestled that like, oh, I like this guy, but he wasn't a superstar.
Yeah, and that's my point. It doesn't. You don't have to be the best athlete to be the best player.
Right.
And a lot of times, the best players are not the best athletes.
You don't have to be the best one to be the most recognized either. Conor McGregor has shown that he's not the best UFC fighter, yet he's still getting the highest purse, and he's the most recognized UFC fighter right now. So
if you want to say Serena is amongst the women's greatest athletes, or just one of the greatest athletes of all time, but don't tell me she's in top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to start talking top 10?
Yeah.
I can probably see her there because she is very athletic. She's very strong. She can hit the tennis ball very fast. But I haven't seen her in a sport.
Of our lifetime, that I would probably be more easy to put her in. Like, okay, you want to say in our lifetime, in a,
okay,
in the 35, 40 years of your life, that like how many athletes have been
done what she's done?
Yeah.
Okay,
I could accept that. And that's not, again, we're not taking away from anything
We're
that they're
picking
doing.
cherries about greatness.
Yeah.
You know, the great players, great athletes, great
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah.
We're not trying to say these people don't deserve the love or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, I think a lot of times when someone is just retiring or something, there's
Yeah.
a lot of flowers thrown
Yeah.
at them. Sometimes that they don't necessarily truly deserve.
Yeah.
Not to disparage them,
Yeah.
but even the word goat,
Yeah.
people say it and they're like, he's one of the goats. That's contradictory. Greatest of all time.
Right.
Like, it's not, oh, there's 7 goats.
Yeah.
It don't work that way.
But I hear what you're saying. But you ever heard someone talk about like, oh, they're one of my best friends. Like best friend implies that there's not one better than them. That is your very best friend. Yeah, and that's one of the things I thought about one day, and I was like, man, you know how many people are like, oh, my best friends. Like, how do you like you have?
Now, closest friend is
Yeah.
more accurate. One
Right.
of my closest friends.
Right.
That's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, semantics matter,
Right.
And when you don't use it like that, that's what starts an argument.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she's had such a great career. She really did deserve a lot of the love that she's gotten. If it wasn't for Venus, she wouldn't have. Or she might have won a couple more than what she did, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, you know what I've heard.
She gave Venus a lot of love. She said she wouldn't exist without Venus.
I was gonna say someone. I
competitor.
forget who it was. I heard someone say like Venus had to crawl for Serena to run, and I think there's a lot of truth in that idea. Like
Definitely.
other things, sports wise, do you want to talk about the guy that we don't like to talk about when it comes to fighting because we think that he fixes his fights?
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a fight coming up in October. Jake Paul fighting UFC Anderson Silva.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
I was kind of dumbfounded because I didn't think that Silva would do it. But in my pregame analysis of this fight, I think this is where we'll find out if he's got some sort of a clause on whether or not if there's legitimacy behind it.
Sylvie got a heavy hand.
Silva's been in the UFC for a long time. Again, he's later in his career, but I definitely think he has enough skill in there that there's no reason why he doesn't fuck up this kid.
Yeah. I mean, you can see him losing on points.
But I don't know. I guess I take this back. If this is a boxing match, then I'm still not going to take this to too much.
No. I'll still put it like this. I'm pushing 40. I'll be 40 at the end of this year.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I've not had one professional boxing match in my life.
Okay.
I still think I could beat Paul in a boxing match.
Okay.
Based off of what I've seen and haven't seen from the guys that he's fought.
Yeah.
The basics that they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
The only thing is, Paul, like we said, may just have clauses that he doesn't allow himself to lose.
You have to pull the punches. You can't knock him out.
Yeah.
You can't no knockdown. Yeah.
And if that's the case, then, it's not a legitimate fight. And,
Yeah.
they can't necessarily put that out there because then it's racketeering and all that kind of jazz.
Yep. But, he gets in trouble. He's in trouble right now for, like, not Bitcoin, but he had his own coin that he was doing. And they're saying, like, he kind of helped. I don't know if it was his coin, but he was part of some sort of digital coin that wound up being something that they were saying he helped pretty much pump and dump it, got everyone to get behind it, start buying it, and then it got they're saying that it was like fraudulent in what they were doing. People lost a lot of money behind him, saying that, oh, we believe in this, it's going to be a good thing or whatever. So that to say, I wouldn't be surprised by anything. He has no He knows what he does. Like he literally knows when he goes out to a forest that they have dead bodies that people hang themselves in, records it, puts it on the internet, and then likes to play stupid. Like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I couldn't believe what I seen. Like you knew
Oh yeah,
exactly what you were
yeah,
doing.
yeah. It's calculated.
Yeah, everything that he does, he does it like he knows people. He's Floyd. He's a white Floyd. He basically knows people are going to be pissed off. They want to watch him get knocked out, so he's capitalizing on the idea that they want to watch him get beat
He
up.
knows the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Tip my cap to him.
Yeah, I mean, he learned the game, figured out how to play it, and he's doing it at a very high level and doing it very well.
And it's the same reason why he wouldn't fight someone like me.
Yeah.
Like he's like, no, you're a former fighter, even though you weren't a pro. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Those other guys, they.
Well, you're one that talks about like the dog that's in the fight. Like you want those dogs, and not everyone wants those dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to cover tonight?
No, I think look the Cowboys this weekend.
Yeah.
You got the Tampa Bay Bucks.
We did want to talk about that real quick.
We got the Cowboys and the Bucks.
Yeah.
Sunday night football.
And
now
they both kind of got a handicap, right? Like there's things wrong with both
the
teams.
O line sucks on both.
Yeah.
Because of injuries. Difference is for Brady, he's got a first-time center. The guy's never played center before.
Okay.
And 2 new guards. So
Okay.
right up the gut is where he's got the major hole. For the Cowboys, it's not right up the gut. It's on the outside.
Yeah.
Now, Brady has receivers, but they're not necessarily fully healthy right now.
Yeah.
And
Now, they did acquire Julio, right?
yeah, and once again, Julio sucked last year,
Yeah.
and he was with a good team. Granted, their quarterback wasn't as good as Brady,
Right.
but Tennessee was no slouch,
Right.
and he couldn't do shit with them.
Yeah.
So
And
he's trying to resurrect his career.
And for me, Cowboys question their receivers are out.
Biggest question is their coaching too.
Yeah. And we talked about that previously, that we'll probably see the ball get handed off a little bit more than previously.
I'm looking forward to seeing Zeke handle his business. Supposedly they are going to finally run Zeke and Pollard at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is something that I've been preaching for years, that if you're going to have 2 running backs, use them at the same time.
So
that way
they don't know.
no one knows what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah.
Choosing not to is like, all right, if this guy only does this, then I know what he's going to.
And that's one thing that we always say, the predictability of, when one's going to do this, you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or even, we know who to stop. This is,
Yeah.
And even knowing that they're going to do that, if I was game scripting as a coach, I'm stopping Elliott every time. I don't care about Pollard. Or get Elliott. I don't care.
Yeah, you can have a spy on the side that Pollard's at if he lines up on the left.
Right.
All right. Linebacker, keep an eye out on him. Just be prepared for what he'll do. But that's it. Your main focus is Zeke.
Yeah.
Because Zeke can punish you.
Yeah. You let him loose, he's going to run, and you're not going to be able to stop him as he gets more momentum.
So when we look at this matchup, honestly, I got the Cowboys, and I have the Cowboys because I think the Bucs are more beat up than them.
Yeah, and Tom has his own mental issues that are going on at home, so
I agree.
There's a lot of things that work against the Bucs in this game.
You got an in his prime quarterback in Dak versus an old great in Brady.
Yeah.
You have a better running game with Zeke than you have with Leonard Fournette, even though the national media talks about Leonard Fournette like he's an all-timer.
Yeah.
When his numbers pale in comparison to what Zeke has done.
Yeah.
1 fewer season, but he just not at the same caliber.
Right. That's 1 fewer season?
Yeah.
I feel like he's
been around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he would been there longer than Zeke. No, one fewer season than Zeke.
Wow. And that goes
And
back to what we were talking about whenever a running back falls off. We talked about that before. Like they're good and then they
and
just
what
drop.
happens is, like, I think his first season he had like 1,400 yards and then
Yeah.
300,
Yeah.
and like another 1,200 yards and then like 600. Like,
Yeah.
so he is that way.
Yeah.
And I think the times I had him on fantasy team was when he like had 300 and 600 yards.
Yeah.
So like he has a lot of potential, but the dude falls off. So I can't be sold on Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
And so Cowboys edge in running game, Cowboys edge in quarterback, or at very worst push. Cowboys edge in tight end,
Yeah.
right? Now wide receiver, you give that to Tampa.
Yeah.
O-line, push. So that means Cowboys have at least one up on the major categories on the offense.
Right.
Defense, okay, I think it's a push on the defensive line. I don't think the Tampa's defensive line is that much better than the Cowboys because D-Law's healthy now.
Yeah.
You play Micah up there. You got some depth at the O-line. Now your linebackers are strong. Your corners are strong. Your safeties are strong.
Right.
I don't think that the Cowboys lose in any sections on the defense.
Right.
I think the Cowboys are a better team to start the season off. You see what happens because, D-Law got hurt last year and
Yeah.
that type of stuff happens.
Yeah. I mean, win or lose, it's the first game of the season. It's
And
nothing.
it really don't matter.
Yeah.
First 4 games, so long as you win one, you're okay.
Yeah. And if you can stay in the game, even better. And if you don't know what I mean by that, like you're not getting blown out. You're in the game. Could go either way the whole game.
Both teams put up a lot of offense last year.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just think that either way it goes, I just want to win the squares that I have.
Yeah.
I got Cowboys 4, 4 and Tampa Bay 6, and then I have the Cowboys, I think 3 and Tampa Bay 2.
Yeah.
So if I hit on any of my squares, I'm happy. It was a fundraiser for one of my friends'
about
kids.
the Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Yeah. So I mean, it's officially football season. We're in it. We're gonna see how things turn out.
So you got Cowboys winning or Tampa winning?
I'm going with the Cowboys. You know, I was thinking about. I know I said I switched my team to Kansas City, and I'm not changing that. But
I can't blame you.
it's a lot harder to find any, like, no matter what team, to find any coverage, because you know what happens no matter what time of year or anything, they're still talking about the Cowboys. It does not matter. National media is always talking about the Cowboys, even in the offseason. Like, did you know that the Cowboys...
Whether it's just to hate or whether to say that nothing happened with them,
Literally.
either way,
Yeah.
they're going to talk about them.
And I don't think there's another franchise team out there. Like, I don't even, like, even though the Yankees are another one of the biggest franchises that people talk about, they don't do that whenever, like, oh, did you know they're eating, like, even when they're doing well, they don't even talk about the Yankees as much as they talk about the Cowboys.
No, it's... And that's why they're the most valuable sports franchise in the world. Not just football team or in America, in the world.
Yeah. I was just literally thinking about this, like, yeah, and, because we spend a lot of time talking about the Cowboys, like, I got to offset this and pay attention to the Kansas City, but it's going to be hard to continue.
We'll talk plenty of them. But it's gonna take a few weeks.
Yeah,
because we're not gonna get any content on them for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. We're gonna get plenty of Cowboys information, regardless of if we lived in Dallas or not. There's gonna be no shortage of Cowboys information. Typically, whenever you talk about the other teams, they either had a big win or fucked up really bad, and that's what they're talking about. That's not a whole lot of anything other than that.
It's exactly right.
But as always, guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to follow us, follow us. If not, we don't like you anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, or whatever my social media is at SleepyJ, SLEEP_E_J. You can follow Coach Rudy at.
I am available on Twitter at RudyV1982. That's RUDYV1982. We would give you Kyle's information, but we don't want to.
Yeah. We got some other news we're working on, other big things. So just stay tuned. Please continue to like, comment, share. Please let your friends, family know. Let the stranger down the street, your people in your complex, let everybody know we have a podcast called The Champs. Let them know to check it out, that it's the best podcast in the world. And until next time, take it easy.
Peace.